Thinking about getting a new tattoo? New research might change your mind. As I said, I'm gonna make a video about this regardless, because hey, I'm all for raising awareness and this is something that people should know about. Personally, I don't am interested in ever getting a tattoo. However, I could understand why people love tattoos so much, even though it low-key is a waste of money and resources. CNN. Sealed bottles of tattoo and permanent makeup ink, including some marked as sterile, contain millions of potential dangerous bacteria, according to new research by the US Food and Drug Administration. In light of our study results, we want to emphasize the importance of continuously monitoring these products to ensure the microbial safety of tattoo inks, said Song J. Kim, a microbiologist, staff fellow at the FDA's National Center for Toxicological Research in Jefferson, Arkansas. In a statement, Kim is corresponding author of the July 2nd report published in the journal Applied and Environmental Microbiology. Because the ink is injected deep into the skin where some bacteria can thrive, contaminated tattoo ink can cause infections and other serious injuries, said study co-author Linda Katz, the director of the FDA's Office of Cosmetics and Colors. Pathogens or other harmful substances in these inks can travel from the injection site throughout the blood and lymphatic systems to other parts of the body, Katz said in an email. When the systemic spread occurs, bacteria can cause life-threatening complications such as endocarditis, a potentially deadly inflammation of the heart lining, and septic shock, which is the last and most severe stages of sepsis, the body's extreme response to an infection that can result in multi-organ failure, Katz said. You should probably be getting tattoos from I don't want to say approved, however, you should be getting the tattoos from some good, like people who are, big, big and well known. You probably shouldn't be getting tattoos from your local stan. You never know what he might have in his bottles. Although this seems like this happened even in the probably biggest tattoo salons and stuff like that. And they had not said it yet. Just from which sort of, tattoo salons were they getting those samples. If not quickly treated, sepsis can rapidly lead to tissue damage, organ failure, and death, according to the US Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Other, more commonly reported symptoms of tattoo ink infections include injection site rashes, impetigo, a highly contagious bacterial skin infection, erysipelas, a bright red and tender rash on the skin, and cellulitis, a deep infection of the skin that requires antibiotic treatment, according to Katz. People with multiple or large tattoos are at a higher risk from contaminated ink, Katz said, because larger tattoos increase likelihood of exposure to microorganisms. Applying permanent makeup can also raise the risk of infection, she said. While both tattoos and permanent makeup carry risk if contaminated ink is used, permanent makeup applied around the eye area may pose a high risk to consumers because microbes could enter the eye and may cause an infection, Katz said. Unfortunately, the study's findings were not surprising, said John Swier, an assistant professor of chemistry in Binghamton University, State University of New York, who has studied tattoo ink contamination. He was not involved in the new study. Alright, so this seems like this was an issue even beforehand. So I guess some scientists were already aware of this issue. However, it seems FDA only now decided to test the substances and samples from the sealed and sealed and sterile. Or sterile, I'm not quite sure what is the correct pronunciation. We know that contamination in tattoo ink is a common occurrence, Zwerg said in an email. I did not know that. Part of the problem is that there is no agreed upon industry standard method for sterilizing inks. Our work and the current study really highlight the need for good standardized manufacturing processes across the tattoo ink industry. I did not know that this is a common problem, kind of. The tattoo industry is increasingly working with regulatory bodies to ensure compliance with safety standards, said tattoo artist Serena Medina, Director of Research at the Alliance of Professional Tattooists, a non-profit alliance of artists dedicated to promoting tattoo health and safety. Manufacturers are investing in advanced sterilization technologies and formulation advancements to improve their production environments and to reduce risk of contamination, Medina said in an email. This includes using clean rooms and enhanced quality control processes to mitigate against problems like this. So you're telling me that they weren't using clean rooms up until now, huh? Great. I mean, if I was considering a tattoo, then this would be a definite turn-off. However, I'm not considering a tattoo. I'm not really the one to waste money much. And tattoo for me seems like a giant waste of money. And I'm pretty sure that you also have to maintain it. And sometimes you have to get a little extra color to get it recolored. Maybe there is a permanent, like something like a permanent ink that can pretty much keep it for many years. However, I think even then, like you would sometimes have to go to, get it darkened or more colorless. Yet once again, bacterial counts should be 0. The latest study tested 75 samples of sealed tattoo and permanent makeup ink sold in the United States by 14 manufacturers that were not named by the FDA. Some of these samples were labeled as sterile. Researchers found 26 samples from 10 manufacturers, or 35% of these samples that had some degree of bacterial contamination. While most samples showed bacteria counts of less than 250 CFUs, colony-forming units per gram, few samples contained bacteria counts as high as 10 on 5th, Kat said. Each CFU represents growth of a colony from a single microbe in a petri dish, so 10 to 5th power equals 100,000 bacteria per gram. And that is a lot. Imagine getting your tattoo for the first time and being, infected with 100,000 bacteria. Not with 100,000 bacteria, but with millions of bacteria. That must be a really great experience. Earlier studies by the FDA found 35% of unopened and sealed inks from the US manufacturers had bacteria counts as high as 10 to 8 CFU. Or 100 million bacteria per gram. 100 million bacteria. What the hell? How? That amount should be 0, said infectious disease expert Dr. Robert Scurry, a distinguished professor of medicine in the Division of Infectious Diseases and Global Public Health at the University of California, San Diego. The level of bacteria in materials that are injected into the skin that come into contact with abraded or injured skin should be more non-detected, said Scurry, who was not involved in the FDA study. The other issue here is that tattooing has also been associated with transmission of viral infections, including hepatitis C, hepatitis B, and HIV, said Scurry. So you're telling me they don't even have a green gadgets? Like some of them, I'm not gonna say all, however, hey, we're gonna be general here, so just remember, like when I say they, I don't necessarily mean all of them. Obviously, exceptions are counted in they. Said Scurry, who is also co-director of the Center of Innovative Phage Applications and Therapeutics, which uses one of bacteria's ancient enemies, phages, to fight superbug infections. Superbug? How the hell did we got from bacteria to superbugs? I don't want any bug in my body. These infections were not studied in the FDA manuscript, but the fact that so many of the inks failed bacterial sterility tests suggests that the other organisms like viruses and fungi also can slip through the cracks, he said. Okay, think. Okay, this is only only 35% was contaminated. It's good. It's not worth a panic. It's not worth a panic at all. It's not bad. Fungi. Viruses and fungi can also slip through. Well, that is... How did it manage to slip past FDA for so long, I wonder? No, like, I actually wonder, how did they manage to slip for so long? If this was a common knowledge between scientists for some while, then how did FDA not act sooner? I mean, this is not good. Like, 35% of these samples are contaminated. That is not good at all. This can cause a major health troubles to those who actually get tattoos. How to protect yourself? Many certified tattoo artists are aware of the danger and may already take steps to avoid contamination, Medina said. Transparency with clients is vital. Artists should communicate openly about the steps they take to ensure ink safety and address any concerns clients may have, Medina said. Before using new batches of ink, some artists and studios conduct their own testing or require proof of testing from suppliers. This can include microbiome testing to detect potential contamination. In addition, tattoo artists can re-sterilize inks before application by using an autoclave, a machine that utilizes steam to apply high pressure and temperature to items to eliminate bacteria, Medina said. Okay, so they have some sort of precautionary steps then, so that's good. It still does not fix the problem that 30% of these samples were compromised and that this should have been solved or at least should have been worked on for far sooner. But hey, at least they're doing something. The way an artist handles the ink while working on a tattoo is also critical, she said. For example, using the same gloves to touch a client and the ink bottle is a hazard that can lead to tattoo ink contamination. Artists should ensure ink bottles are tightly sealed and when not in use and stored in cool, dry locations away from direct sunlight to minimize risk of contamination, Medina added. Experts say the ultimate solution for the tattoo and permanent ink manufacturing industry is to be subject to regulations that require testing and certification before inks are allowed on the market. That should already been the case. For God's sake, if they knew that there was problem with contamination, like this should have been case many years by now. Tattoo inks are in the process of being regulated due to Modernization of Cosmetics Regulations Act of 2022, but much of that law dealing with tattoo inks has yet to be implemented, Zwerg said. We anticipate that MOCRA will be phased in over the next few years, and that will represent the first serious regulation of the tattoo inks in the US. Most of this will focus on good manufacturing processes and safety substantiation. The FDA released draft guidance for the tattoo industry in June 2023, which includes details on how manufacturers should conduct quality control measures, including sterilization. This is quite worrying. Well, at least tattoo artists you have some sort of a counter, and they have some sort of practice they can do to try and eliminate those bacteria. Hopefully that majority, if not all of them, do this, because this is definitely quite severe. Like you cannot just pass bacteria upon your customers, and in some instances hundreds of millions of bacteria, if not billions. That's not good at all. And in even some darker instances, maybe pass a virus or a fungi. But okay, at least this seems to be getting regulated, so this should be solved in the future, and the rate of the contaminated samples should hopefully drop by a lot. It should eventually be like 1% or under 1%, ideally. Let's head to the next article.